Welcome back to Jump Scare. I'm Betty.
And I'm Shad.
And this time around, we are going to be discussing Fulci's lesser-known film, but still a Fulci film, Aenigma. This film, I've seen some Fulci films, and some are better than others. But this one would have to be, for me, the lesser of the ones I've seen.
Yeah, it's a very strange movie.
It's strange because I feel like it doesn't know what it wants to be. And it kind of throws you off the suspense of disbelief. Like, because the makeup is really terrible. I mean, it's an independent film, you know. It's not like this is a whole big production, house that's backed this film. But it just looks so terrible. And then the plot is very... It's a lot of little things. It has some Carrie elements to it. It has some kind of like a little bit of a Suspiria feel. What else would you would say? I feel like there's another movie we could insert in here.
A little bit of that movie Patrick, where he's in the coma and causing problems for people.
Oh, boom. Okay, that's a really good comparison. So the beginning of the movie, we're going to break up the film into segments that we like the best. So the beginning of the film opens up and you're like, what the fuck is going on? First of all, this woman is getting her face painted with gold's like creamy eyeshadow. And there's this weird song playing overhead. The name of the song is Head Over Heels or Head Over
Meals.
Yes, which that's misspelled in the end credits.
When they're making her up, it reminded me like they were painting up the what's her name, Daryl Hannah in Blade Runner. When they're painting up the when she's the replicant, and they're painting her up for all the weird like dance shows she's gonna do. They're putting all the weird stuff on. That's what this reminded me of. Like, are they painting a replicant? Are we in Blade Runner?
We might have been in Blade Runner, but a really tacky, low budget Blade Runner where it's just like just terrible makeup. And, this man and this woman is like dolling this girl up. And you think this is like an endearing moment between friends and it's all good. But little did she know, and this is where the Carrie influence comes in, it's actually the most popular kids that are like helping her out because she has a date with like, the hot guy in the school.
Who's maybe a teacher?
Maybe, I think.
Maybe he's way older than they are. Maybe he's not. I don't know.
Yeah, and...
He could have been 25 or 40.
Yeah, he could. I think he was more like 40.
Yeah.
And she goes on a date with him, and they're supposed to go dancing. And, he's like, no, I want to stay in the car. And everything that they're saying is being recorded. And there's several other cars hidden around in the area that are listening to this conversation. And it's all the other popular kids like laughing it up because they just think this is so funny that they've duped this girl into thinking that this guy could possibly be into her.
This was also like, didn't this happen in Terror Train?
I don't remember. Maybe
they did some kind of prank on Terror Train where they tricked the guy into like going off with somebody. It turned out to be his sister. I know that's the plot for that National Lampoon reunion movie where they tricked the guy into being with his sister.
Yeah. Well, like I said, many elements. The film came out in like 88.
Yeah, 88, I believe.
And it definitely shows. Now, this movie is supposed to take place in the United States.
In Boston.
And it was filmed in Yugoslavia. And they tried, so many things to try to make it American. But, you know right off the bat, this is definitely not set in America. But, they like dressed up the girls' rooms who are like college girls with those like library, like...
The library posters, they're like a poster of Yoda that says, read more books, you will. That's in there, like a random poster of those... What was the other one? There was another library read one.
There was another library read one. I can't remember. There was like an American flag with an eagle on it. And then the most popular poster in there, which they showed many times, is the Top Gun Tom Cruise poster.
Yeah, there was a Rocky one too, like Rocky 4.
Oh yeah, there was a Rocky one. because, these are just random posters that, college girls would have on their dorm room walls.
Oh, we forgot to mention after the end of the prank, when all the kids that are hiding in the cars reveal themselves by flashing on the lights, the girl gets out, takes off running, and they chase her in the car and accidentally hit her and put her into a coma.
And here the movie begins. So another part, now it's so funny because it's just like, we don't know. There's an overhead shot is her soul leaving her body when she's in the hospital, and she's kind of like floating around trying to find another body to inhabit. Or is she completely brain dead and in the process of like going over to the afterlife? You really don't really know, because all of a sudden, some random girl that just starting to school, she slowly becomes influenced or maybe possessed by the girl that's in a coma.
Yeah, you get like the flash of the new girl getting out of the car, and there's like a flash of thunder and lightning, and you see the girl that got hit. You see her face kind of superimposed over it, and then it goes back to the other girl. She's like, oh, did she possess her body? What just happened?
Yeah. So just like in Suspiria, you have a new girl coming into a foreign school, and, she has no friends, and she's coming into a bad situation. Weird situation, even though the popular kids could give a fuck less, because they thought that this was like the most hilarious thing, and this girl in a coma is like, oh, whatever, she's in a coma, it's fine, it's one less thing we gotta worry about. We didn't even want her around us. She's just a daughter of the crazy mute cleaning lady, so she was a waste of space anyways.
I love how the new girl like immediately gets in there and is like, so my goal is to make out with lots of boys this semester. Where can I do that?
Yeah, she definitely goes for the gold there. And by her going for the gold, meaning she's going for everyone the opposite sex lips. Like, she's out to do whatever she can to get the attention. Yeah,
she's all about doing guys. She's there to smoke, drink, party. She's ready to go.
Yeah, well, typical college girl then.
Yeah.
More or less, in the 80s. What was, like, there are so many crazy scenes in this film. It just felt, like I said, like kind of like chaotic. They do show like, back and forth, what's going on in the weird room that looks like a barren, like, emergency room / surgery area where they have the girl hooked up like to the machines, and her brainwaves are coming on and off, several times throughout the day. And like I said, the makeup is just terrible. One of the shots, it's like, it's not even the girl, it's a mannequin. It's like a dummy.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Now the hospital seems to be, there are only 2 people in the hospital, the one doctor and a nurse. That's it. You never see anyone. Oh, you see the one security guard at the desk. That's it. 3 people in the whole hospital.
Yeah, and they're always talking about the things that are happening over at the college. There's not in front of the girl. So this is like gossip hour, and this is how she's getting all like the juicy details about what's going on in the school that, she basically left behind. Not by choice, obviously. So the girl that takes over, the new girl, she's doing her thing here and there. And I have to say that, of course, like in every 80s film, you have to have an aerobic scene.
Of course.
And hence the next part of the movie that I thought was hilarious, which was everyone is doing their aerobics. And, the lead instructor is a male. And, he's commenting on, that they're fat. And
yeah, he straight up tells them, you're fat. You need to work that ass off.
Yeah. And the girl's like, there's nothing wrong with my ass. You like my fat ass. And like, he slaps her on the ass. And everything is just all hunky-dory. And then the fuck me eyes comes from the new girl. Because her whole goal was that she was going to be making out with boys.
So she's after the aerobics instructor, who it takes all of about 3.5 seconds for her to convince to go on a date.
Yeah, he did not hesitate at all, even though he was the instructor and she's a student in the college. He was like, this is a normal thing because this happens all the time in Boston, Massachusetts.
Yep. So they agree. They're gonna go on their date, and that night, as he's in the gym, working out like you do before a date, the crazy cleaning lady sees him, and he shoos her away. Says, "Oh, go away. It's fine. I'll make sure everything's clean in here." And then one of the creepier scenes of it, his mirror image just kind of pulls itself out of the big mirror on the wall where they were doing the aerobics and murders him.
Yeah, it's never really quite clear if the daughter's possessing the mom at the same time that she's possessing the new girl. What is going on? Is the mom a little touched and she has some kind of like witchy powers, even though she's using it all for nothing because she's like greasy and like she looks like she needs to eat. She looks very sickly and,
she does not look well.
She's mute and she's always greasy. There's always like, I guess because she's always sweating because she's working so hard scrubbing the floors like Cinderella that she's like totally all over the place. And then let's jump to another amazing scene where they're discussing, this girl's health and how, she's having, every time there's an incident, they see like
the girl in the hospital.
In the hospital, yeah, a jump from the monitors. And the doctor says the skin circulation is dilated.
Yeah. That makes no goddamn sense whatsoever.
They're like, let's just say random words and then people are going to be like, whatever. Or maybe it was lost in translation because even though this film is set in Boston, but we filmed it in Yugoslavia, but most of the actors are Italian, it's going to be fine. We're going to get through this.
Yeah, they did not get through it all that well.
No, they did not. So that's not really clear at all what's really going on because it looks like the mom had something to do with it. But she didn't. So the teacher, he dies. And
I love the scene where they find the teacher. He's laying there like sprawled out, eyes rolled up, not moving. Someone comes and takes a stethoscope, puts it on his heart and goes, yes, he's dead. you think? He hasn't moved in 12 hours. He's laying there stiff as a board. Yeah, I think he's dead, guy.
He has a hard-on of hard-ons because he's already in like the rigor mortis, yeah. And, but you got to be thorough. You can't just roll up and be like, he's hard, his body's stiff as hell. His eyes are wide open, but maybe he's alive. I don't know. Maybe he's in shock and he's alive and I need to check his pulse.
Yeah, he definitely dead.
He's definitely dead. As all of these characters that the girl goes after, all characters obviously that were taunting her and made her life a living hell, which made her jump out of the car and, to run into oncoming traffic. She takes her revenge one by one. Another awesome and the most terrifying scene for me was the snail.
Yes.
Murder.
Yeah. So the maid decides to serve everyone snails. Excuse me.
Bless you.
She decides to serve everyone snails for some random reason. She just makes snails and brings them in. Snails and rice for everyone. The one girl's like, it's disgusting. That's horrible. I can't eat that. And then that night, of course, she is murdered by thousands of snails.
Now, we couldn't really find any information on whether these snails were real, but assuming that since that was in 1988, more than likely these were real snails and they were harmed. They just poured snails all over the girl because these are not CGI snails, and they're disgusting.
Yeah, they're big old slimy snails crawling up her boob, hanging out on her nipple. They're very disgusting.
They're on her face, in her hair. They're everywhere. It was just like, you know what? We got a sale on bucket o' snails, and we're just going to throw them all on top of this girl on her bed. And it was the most horrifying scene ever. I really don't like insects or anything that crawls, with the exception of, my daughter. Everything else is disgusting. And this scene, I couldn't even watch the scene. I had to close my eyes like I was a baby because I was just, I can't get through this.
Yeah, she got snailed to death.
But of course, like in all things, the next day it was like, well, it was said that she put the pillow over her face and was holding it too close, and therefore she suffocated.
I don't know if you can actually hold a pillow over your own face till you suffocate. Wouldn't you eventually, when you just passed out, release it, and then you'd have enough air to breathe?
Of course you will. And did no one notice? Because the camera did tell, the story without there being any words. The pan over to the calendar that had a random snail on it, still on the wall.
Dun.
Yeah, no one was like, I don't know, where'd the fucking snail come from? It just slimed away into, out of existence. Into the other world where all the other snails came from.
This whole movie was like a dream sequence in another movie. Like if they were in Suspiria and like they were having a dream and like I dreamed I was covered in snails or whatever. Yeah, okay. This is kind of like the whole movie feels like a dream sequence.
Yeah, actually, now that you say that, I totally agree with that. It was totally a dream sequence film. It was very hard to sit through. The dubbing it did not match the caption. We had both on, so we had to obviously take off one of them because it was very distracting. I know kind of, stuff gets like lost in translation and whatnot, but it was a pretty bad, like it did not connect well. And just the craziness of the whole thing, you just don't know what the fuck is going on. Not even until the end, but the whole relationship that develops between the new girl and the doctor that's caring for the girl in a coma. That is like, she comes on real strong. He tries to fight it, but that doesn't work out too well because, she's like a college girl and he's like 45 and he's like, oh, I can't handle it. I gotta, make out with her in my little Maserati, whatever the fuck it was.
And I love how they meet. Like the new girl, when she's there, she has like a strange seizure where she just starts like taking her jeans and whipping her roommate with them all over the place and trashing things. Then goes on the bed. It looks like she's like a scene from The Exorcist where she's thrashing around all over it. And then the school, they don't take her to the ER. They don't call an ambulance. They just call the hospital and go, hey, do you have a neurologist that could come and look at this girl? I think she might be sick. That's when the doctor's like, I don't know. I'm not really supposed to leave. I should probably just stay here. And they go, please. He's like, all right, I'll come take a look at her. So he goes out to take a look at her, and that's how he meets her, like I said. And then, of course, after he puts up at the tiniest of fights, he's like, no, stop. Don't make out with me. It's wrong. No, don't. Oh, okay, let's do it. Then they're in a full-on relationship, like 2 minutes later.
Yeah, and there's like a montage, and it's completely just strange, and you get the feel that obviously the girl that's in a coma, she just wanted to be in a relationship so bad. She wanted to have the whole like boyfriend, and she wanted to get it on, but that was never anything that was presented to her. So now that she's in a better looking body, because she kind of looked like olive oil on meth before. Yeah. Now that she's in a better looking body, and she's more attractive to everyone around her, she's like, okay, I'm going to get this doctor guy. And of course, they run off and like do their thing.
You get the really weird, like dreamlike sequence where they're laying on like a stone slab doing it.
Yeah, it was just like a flash, and then just two very oily naked bodies are on top of each other, and they're like having like weird sex where it's just like, how is it entering if she's like laying like directly on top of him, like
she's humping his thigh? It was really weird.
Yeah, this was very strange. Just a very strange sequence. And just, I don't know. I didn't even know where to take away from that. I was like, am I supposed to be turned on? Am I supposed to be disgusted?
But there was really no feeling to it at all. It was just like you were watching a random, you were flicking the channels by and saw this sex scene out of context. You're like, oh, okay, and went on.
Yeah.
Because you just didn't believe them together,
No, and they were like the same height. So it was just very strange. Now, there is another scene in the film where, and that's probably my next, I wouldn't say kill scene, but it's a very strange scene on one of the girls. She goes and, they're going to go to a museum for a field trip, and one of the enemies, she kind of has like a weird, I don't want to say like hallucinogenic thing that happens to her where like the painting on the ceiling like comes to life and is like blood is like dripping from the ceiling and weird shit's happening to her and she's like experiencing this, but then it was just all a dream. Like if she like snaps out of it, everything goes away and you're like, what the hell was that? I didn't see her eat mushrooms before she entered the room. Like, what the heck? And the whole thing obviously was just a ploy to have, because the girls like break out of school to go back to the museum later on. And that's when this occurs, to go and look for this missing earring that her parent, this expensive earring that her parents like, gave her for her graduation or her birthday or some shit. And they do that. And of course, like in all things, like right out of a Doctor Who episode, one of the random statues, like one of those white statues, comes alive.
It looks like one of the statues, like the living statues that are roaming around Disney and places.
Yeah, comes alive and like kills her, like chokes her out from behind. And later on, when they like take her body to the hospital, which they show off scene, but obviously the three people that work in the hospital, because all they have to do is gossip, they're like, they was said that just this figure just toppled on top of her and she just died from the impact. How does a figure that weighs like 2 tons just topple over and fall on someone? And then that's the last we hear about that.
Yeah, I mean, you can only be worried about that sort of thing for so long. You gotta move on with your life.
Yeah, all the deaths were strange AF. Strange AF, and you don't really know, like, is it they kind of insinuate that it's the new girl that's doing it, but they don't really show her per se doing it. Yeah. It's like other items that are doing it. So it's just like, does she have this great power where like her brain is just everywhere and she's able to like, she's scary. She's telekinetic. Like she has telekinetic powers, telekinesis.
Yeah. We should call this movie like Caresperia.
Caresperia.
It's like Carrie and Suspiria mixed into one.
I like that. Caresperia. Better than Aenigma. Well, no, Aenigma fits because you're like, what the fuck is this? What is this? It's an Enigma.
What the hell is going on with this movie? I don't understand.
Whoever named the movie was spot on. I have to give them that. That was a spot on thing. So yeah, overall, I give the film 2.5 stars for a Fulci film. I wouldn't even... 2.5 knives. I don't know. I'm just so conditioned to do stars. I love stars. I'm a moon child. I'm a Pisces. What can I say? But yeah, 2.5 knives. And I definitely would stab someone from this film with those knives because this was a really terrible movie.
I would only give it 2 knives, and that's just because the snail kill was inventive.
Yeah, I'm giving it the half because there was a sweaty sex scene. So I was like, okay, at least I got to see someone's ass and some boobs. I'm going to be the guy in this situation. I'm going to be the sexist pig for like 5 seconds.
No, you're allowed. That's fine.
Yeah, because we don't even see anything from the guy. But it's like, who cares about the guy? He's like has a weird like mini fro and he's just weird.
Yeah, he was a creepy looking dude.
Yeah, there's no resolution either to who is the actual killer. It's just like the end. Like she dies in the coma.
And everything's fine.
Yeah, and then we're gonna have, and then you're like, oh shit, wait, is her soul floating away out of the other girl's body? Because the other girl dies, like the new girl dies, spoiler alert, and we just saved like 2 hours of her life by telling you what happens in the end, because it's just not even worth watching. Some people really love this film. Maybe it's one of those things where like you had watched it at a certain time frame in your life.
Yeah.
Like maybe if we saw this film when we were like 15 years old, it'd be like the best fucking movie ever.
Because you see it and you're like, this is so fucked up and weird. It's insane. I love it.
Yeah, it's so art house. It's so great. And then you get older and it's like, you watch it again. You're like, that was weird. This is terrible.
Yeah. So yeah, 2 knives for me.
Yeah, 2.5 knives only because of the boobs and the ass. scene. That's it. So yeah, that's all we have to say about that film. Stay tuned to the horror, guys. Thanks for listening.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.